folks are starting to realize that a change needs to happen where they need tools to have a conversation with the data to let people know that we're not actually taking away what they've done in the past. We're not taking away their job. We're actually giving them the tools to do their job. As an environmental professional, now the data sets are so big that you need some tools to help you find the patterns, but then your job is still the same.
Good morning, welcome back. Kent Bain with 9 Business Group and Elevate Your Business Spotlight interview. We have Paul Fuelbrandt with us today. Paul, welcome. Please take a few seconds, introduce yourself, more importantly, introduce your company, what you guys do, and what sets you apart from your competition.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Paul Fuelbrandt. I'm the co-founder of StatViz Analytics. Been in the environmental industry for over 20 years now, and we started StatViz to help return as much land to productive use as possible. So we work with environmental data sets, analytical chemistry data, to help people understand when there's contamination on a property, on one of their properties, what is their responsibility and what isn't their responsibility, what poses a risk to the environment and what doesn't pose a risk to the environment.
And who would be, I guess, a fun question for me is, who's your ideal client? Who would you be looking to serve? Is it municipalities? Is it homeowners, construction companies, or is it the oil and gas companies?
Yeah, it would be all of the above. Anyone who owns a contaminated site or manages a contaminated site. So we kind of have those two customer profiles. So, municipalities and oil and gas companies and industrial companies own contaminated sites, and then environmental consultants manage contaminated sites. Both interact with these data sets and need to really understand what they mean. And so we help them do that.
Fascinating. So how much of this industry has changed over the last 5 years or 10 years?
It is changing a lot. We are coming up to that digital transformation that we've seen in a lot of industries. Over the last 20 years, there hasn't been a ton of change. There is, when I started in the industry, it was all spreadsheets and network drives. That's how people manage their data. And a lot of people still do manage them that way. But the data sets are getting so big that we are finally folks are starting to realize that a change needs to happen where they need tools to have a conversation with the data instead of just managing it, storing it, and retrieving it. They need to actually be able to have a way to have a conversation with it. Yeah, and so there's a number of techniques for that. I mean, obviously, the analog out there is like a ChatGPT AI, right? Where you can open a PDF document and have a conversation with that document. You can say, what does this document have to say about this? What does it say about that? And ChatGPT will find that information and summarize it for you. When you're working with just pure number data sets, you need other techniques for that. And so those are the techniques that we put at people's disposal. Fingerprinting and multivariate statistical analysis, all big words, but all they're doing is finding patterns. They're finding patterns in the data for us so that as environmental professionals, we can then look at that pattern and say, oh, that's interesting. Where could that pattern have come from? That looks like something that our operations may have put there, or it doesn't. It looks like something else. So we've got 3 patterns, 3 unique sources on this site of the chemicals that we're concerned about. Which one of them are responsible for? Let's deal with that. So it's that. That's the change that is coming, and it's very, very exciting for sure.
So in summary, what you're saying is with the new amount of data, what you're able to do is have for example, an oil and gas company, a drilling company, they could do 25 wells in a year. And with the pattern of their activity, you can determine what, if any, chemicals or things they're leaving behind based on their pattern of activity. And if you have 1 or 2 outliers with other chemicals or foreign agents into that well site, that company could look at it and go, not ours, because here's our 25 wells we drilled this year. 23 of the 25 are absent of this thing. So this thing now possibly came from a different source.
Yeah, that's definitely a regional analysis like that is a really good way to get value from your data. It costs a lot of money to go collect this data, right? People have to go and physically drill boreholes and take soil samples or collect water samples. And what if all you do is look at that data once and compare it to a guideline and then store it away forever? It's like setting your money on fire in a way, because there's a lot of value in that data that you can then look to say, well, yeah, wells that were drilled around this time of this age using this technique typically cost us XYZ to clean up. There's typically this much left behind just because of normal everyday operations. Um, and and so then, that's a inter-site, many sites, regional analysis that you can do. But then even on a specific site, if you have a flare pit, you might have there's a group of chemicals called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons that come from partially combusted hydrocarbons. So if you're flaring, you're creating some of these pHs. Interestingly, they're also the thing that makes the char on your steak, and that's why that taste that taste there is good in very small amounts. So it creates these polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. But what else is creating combustion in that same? Well, you're in a forest. Maybe there was a forest fire. Maybe there's some ash. Maybe you're near a road. Maybe there's some exhaust particulate or whatever it is. So now how do you prove to the regulator that you found these chemicals, but they're not from your flare pit? Well, you need to be able to see the pattern. You need to be able to find the pattern in the source and then document that. So yeah, you can either it's valuable both just on a single site, but then looking at multiple sites together, it also creates a lot of value.
Excellent. So how long have you been in business? And I guess tied to that is, in those years of being in business, what has been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome or face, and how'd you resolve it? What does it look like today?
Yeah, so we incorporated back in 2018. It's been 6 years now. And probably our biggest challenge is is communicating is communicating that difference, that there's a different way. It is disruptive, right, to bring change into an industry. And so how do you do that in a way that brings people along instead of challenging them or making them feel like they're doing something wrong? We didn't feel like we did something wrong when Netflix started to recommend the next show we should watch. And we didn't have that when all we watched was cable, right? We didn't have an algorithm to tell us what to watch next. But when you take something that's been done by professionals that they hold very closely and tell them that there's a better way to do it, they tend to feel challenged. And the way that we address that is just to let people know that we're not actually taking away what they've done in the past. We're not taking away their job. We're actually giving them the tools to do their job. As an environmental professional, it's your job to make a decision about what the next best thing is to do on this site, to take care of it, to clean it up. And previously, you held up a spreadsheet that was about this big and you could figure it out. You could see my reactions are going off here. You could see the patterns, right? You could see the patterns and you just visually, you could find them. Now the data sets are so big that you need some tools to help you find the patterns, but then your job is still the same, to take the information and make the decision. And so it's really just about communication, like anything. It's about finding the story in your business and communicating the story in your business, just like we're trying to find the story in the data and communicate the information, the story in the data. So
If there was a pirate or a thief in your business, what would they be stealing from you?
If there was a thief in our business, they would be stealing intellectual property, I would say. They would be the biggest thing that we are generating is new new ideas, new ways of dealing with things. And so they would be stealing those ideas. But that would actually be okay. I mean, it has happened in the past, not from inside our business, but people that we worked closely with. And we are in the business of the next idea. We need to keep creating. We need to come up with something new. The way that we add value is not by resting on our laurels. It's not by, it used to be that you could just hold the data. You could be the holders of the data, and that created value. And that's not the way anymore. So yeah, I would say that they would be, like I said, we have dealt with this where folks have claimed things that we created as their own, and that's okay. Our business is built on reputation, really. So and the reputation for building things that work and building new things next. So yeah.
What does success look like then for you? What's your definition of success, and what is it you're hoping to leave behind as a legacy, if such a thing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to say legacy. This is a legacy business. I built this business with my partner to leave a better way. So if when I leave this industry, there's a better way to clean up contaminated sites. If there's less material going to landfill, if there's more sites being closed and returned to productive use, if there's more value being extracted from data, less data being wasted, put into just moldering in PDFs, which I like to call data jail, then that will be a success. So obviously we want to make money. As like any business, we want to make money. But I always say if I just wanted to make money, I probably would have gotten a loan and opened a couple of Tim Hortons franchises, right? Like there's more predictable ways if all you're after is revenue. Where success for this business is to make a change. And we are seeing that disruption in our little industry. We are seeing, other people creating. It was entirely blue ocean in our industry when we started, and we see other people in starting to try to build their own that follow what we're doing, and I take that as a compliment. I take that as like the beginning of the signs of that legacy that I want to leave behind, that shift, that disruption.
Very good. And so for those out there who have contaminated sites, think they may have some legacy history issues, who should find you, and where do they find you, learn more about how you're helping people manage and use data better to take better care of the sites and land they own?
Yeah, absolutely. So all the usual places you can find me. Probably easiest is on LinkedIn. We're StatViz, so StatVis.com. That's our website. There's a company profile on LinkedIn that you can find me through there. Because Paul Fuelbrandt that's a bit of a mouthful to spell. So probably the easiest way. And because of that last name, I made my email address real easy. So it's just paul@statvis.com. So StatVis.com. And yeah, you can reach out anytime. I'm happy to answer questions, even if it's not, going to lead to a project. I do just love talking about this stuff, about better ways to manage data and understand data. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. I like the work you're doing. It's fun, necessary, but I think also in that space of taking a very old antiquated industry into the 21st century and I think doing better with it. And I think that's the best part that we can all do is as we're given new opportunities with change around us is to, cool, now what can we do with it and can we do something better with them before? And that's great for you. And thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Appreciate it.